Hi, Jason. It's your birthday tomorrow, and you're turning 40, and I am just so glad you're my son. You make us laugh. You make us happy. We all laugh a lot when you're around, and laughing is so good. You have turned into such a great son, and you've always been really good. There was just a couple of years in that 40 years where I thought you were so hard. Um, but that's a little bit of time when you are now 40. Anyway, I'm glad you made it to 40, and I hope you love your 40th birthday celebration today and tomorrow, because you deserve to be celebrated. Love you, Jason. Period. You were gone to school, and you were taking so long to get home. So when you got home, I said, Jason, what took you so long to get home? And you said you had to walk your bike because you had tied your shoelaces together so you couldn't ride your bike. So that was another funny thing. Another one, I just remember I loved a song. I'm so happy to be stuck with you. That was one of my favorite songs. And Jason, every time I sang it, Jason would say, no, it goes, I'm so happy to be stuck to me. And I could not get him to know that it just said, I'm so happy to be stuck with you. But it was just fun. It doesn't sound as funny on here, but it was fun and cute when you were a little boy. I love you so much.
I've got lots of great memories of Jason. Sorry, I'm at the airport waiting for my next flight. But one of my favorite memories is when he was over at our house when we lived in Centerville, and he and Brandon were in the kitchen, and they were comparing muscles. And they were flexing and stuff, and Jason said to Brandon, he says, Brandon, do you remember getting your first vein? Because when they lift weights, you know, your veins pop out in your arms. And I just loved that. I laughed so loud, and it was just such a fun memory. Another fun memory of Jason was when he saw The Ring, the scary story about the girl in the well. And then he got scared one night, and I don't remember exactly the details, but when he saw one of his sisters with her hair down walking forward, and it freaked him out. And I remember him talking to Brandon again about how scary that show was. And so also I remember at Lagoon one time when he showed me his sketchbook, and he was such a good artist, and some of the drawings he did, anyway, lots of good memories about Jason. Jason, happy birthday, happy 40th, love and respect, man. Take care.
I remember when Jason went and saw The Ring. I, of course, did not watch scary movies back then, and I still don't. And so, of course, I didn't want to see it. But Jason came home and was scared, and so he wanted to sleep in my room. And then he proceeded to tell me all about the movie. So I basically felt like I had watched it, and it scared me for the next few years at night when I thought about it.
Lynn reminded me, you know, when you were in kindergarten, the teacher told me that you and another boy were the best artists. You were so good at drawing. And she was amazed because it's usually the girls that are the good artists and not the boys. But you were awesome. And you remember that picture you drew of the big giant? I think it's hanging on your wall. But you won a big prize for that, and you won many prizes by your art. You were really good at drawing, Jason.
Jason used to be bugged and hassled by Jeremy all the time, and at one point he said that he would never. When Jeremy left, let me see, how did he put it? I can't remember. He said, when Jeremy goes, I'll never be like Jeremy was to the other kids. And when Jeremy went into the MTC, if it wasn't the same day, it was the day after, Jason started doing the same exact things to his younger brothers and sisters that Jeremy did to him. Oh boy, how things changed, really. He just plain forgot, I guess. I don't know.
Yep. Jason broke my nose during that time period where he was hassling us while Jeremy was on his mission. He chased me downstairs because he wanted me to do his jobs or something. And then we were on opposite sides of the pool table, and Jason picked up the exercise ball and threw it at me. I think he was expecting me to duck, which I did. But the exercise ball hit the ping pong tables leaning against the wall. And I stood up with a small grin on my face, and I remember Jason suddenly got wide-eyed and yelled something at me, probably watch out, because the ping pong tables were falling on me. But then, yeah, the ping pong tables hit me, and I ended up breaking my nose. But as far as I know, Jason was quickly over on the other side and picking the ping pong tables off of me, which was nice of him because he caused them to fall on me. Also, when Jason got back from basic, he decided to force me to get off my lazy bum and exercise. I think he made me run for 18 minutes on the treadmill after trying to make me do push-ups or other exercises, and oh, my back, it was so hard. I kept trying to get off, and he would not let me rest on the side of the treadmill. He forced me to keep running and acting like a nasty drill sergeant. But I do also remember that Jason had his PlayStation 2, and as long as he wasn't playing it, he was fine with me going in and playing his games, and I played Ace Combat a lot, and that was fun, and other games on his PlayStation 2, which he was nice enough to let me play. I don't really have other memories from when I was a kid. I can't remember much from back then, but I do remember those 3 things.
Happy 40th birthday, Jason. There's so many memories. Okay, when we were really young, Jason would always tell me that Mom had a witch in her closet. So we would sneak in Mom's room so scared, and that it was that robe that she had hanging up on her door, and it was so scary. It looked just like a witch, so we'd sneak in there, and we were so terrified. And then all of a sudden Jason would scream, and so I'd scream, and we'd run out, and it was just so scary. And Jason was pretty mean to me, but I guess we still hung out a lot. But Jason I remember him like wearing nothing except that fur thing on his head, if I'm remembering right, and a fur thing around his privates. And you could basically see it. I remember that, him walking around in that. And I also remember him and Jeremy singing that all you gotta say is no, whoa, and Jason would be the one carrying around the recorder thing, the tape player, and they'd be singing that. Jeremy was actually probably more making fun, and Jason was like really into it. Jason used to ignore me in school once we hit junior high. He wanted to pretend like he didn't know me at all, which was so rude. And then we got into high school, or I got into high school, and all of a sudden he wanted to be my friend, and he wanted everyone to know that he knew me. So
that was nice. That made me feel good. Even with Jason being mean to me, I always looked up to him. And now I'm getting emotional. Jason said something to me about 12 years ago. He said, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And that quote just stuck in my heart. And it's become one of my favorite quotes, if not my favorite quote that I think about when I think about quotes. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And that came from Jason. Jason is so intelligent and smart, and I'm so proud of what he's accomplished, or what you've accomplished, Jason. Sorry. I guess I'm talking to you. And I'm so happy that you have your dream job and your family and your kids who are so cute and so good and nice, and you're so funny. I love being around you. I love hearing your jokes. Sometimes they're pretty mean, but other times they're very funny, and I really do look up to you a lot, just so you know. You mean a lot to me, and I love you. I hope you have such a fun birthday, and hopefully I can make it to bowling too. All right, bye-bye. Oh, yeah, and Jason loved Jessica Lee when we lived down in Mapleton. I remember Jessica Lee. And then it was really funny because on that cruise that was so fun in 2001 where I met Thomas, I just have to add that because he was so cute. Anyway, his sister was named Jessica Lee. That was so funny. And Jason had a crush on that sister. So just another little funny thing. We talked about Jessica Lee all the time. Had to drive past her house down in Mapleton, and Jason really liked her.
All right, memories of Jason. Well, I have a lot of memories of Jason. We spent so much time together growing up, talking on the phone for hours and hours, snowboarding together for hours and hours. So much fun all the time. But there is one memory I have of him that just is a good example of Jason. Is he was sleeping over at my house, and we had Super Nintendo, and we had Super Mario World, which is a huge game. We loved playing it, but we had stayed up late, I think, so Jason didn't wake up when we did, but we're all playing Super Mario World, and my whole family was awake, my sister, my mom, everybody. He's at least 10 or 11 years old. And here comes Jason walking down the stairs in front of everybody in his whitey tighties. And we all just look at him and laugh. And he just like didn't care. He just comes down, sits down next to us and starts playing with us. And yeah, that's Jason. He doesn't care what people think. He does what he wants to do. And yeah, I think that's a good example of Jason. Love you, Jason. Happy birthday. Happy 40th.
I don't think Jason was a drill sergeant to me either. I want to say there was one time when he almost made me do push-ups with the other kids, but I did not succumb to those temptations. Just kidding, it's not a temptation. Anyway, I don't remember why either, and maybe that's because I was just so busy too and all my schoolwork and stuff. But anyway, I guess I don't even have my thoughts together yet, but Jason has always, I feel like I've always had a good relationship with Jason as far as talking with him about things. And I remember talking to him a lot when we were younger. He'd just open up and talk to me forever. And so that always made me feel good. I remember I took over his room. Actually, before I took over his room, he'd have his PlayStation or whatever he had. And he also showed me how to use it and trusted me to use it. But of course I didn't very much, but he said that I could come in and use his TV and stuff when I wanted. And then I took over his room, and I just respected his artwork and design so much that I kept everything on the walls for all those, couple years, just so that it would be the same when he came home. And because I thought he did a really good job designing it, except sometimes there were things under the pictures that I probably should have taken down. But I didn't. Anyway, I remember learning to snowboard with Jason. just like Colby did. And we had so much fun all those years going. And I never was as good, but I thought it was so cool seeing him do his backflips. Maybe they're called barrel rolls. I can't remember. And I just always looked up to Jason, and I still do. And I know this was all already mentioned, but I wanted to say how I mentioned to Clint all the time how supportive Jason is. If he can be at a family thing, he's there. And I always want to be at family things if I can, but I'm not that supportive because it turns out I can't be there a lot. But Jason usually can when he's available, and I think that's really cool. So cool. Jason, you're a good guy, and I love you so much. And I always think you're funny. And I've loved listening and hearing all these comments as well. So you are missing out, unfortunately, but you'll get to hear it on your birthday. Anyway, happy birthday, and I'm proud of you. I know you've worked so hard to become a pilot and to do all the things that you've done. So anyway. Oh, I also wanted someone, if no one brings it up, talk about the sewing machine story. I loved that one growing up. I feel like it's Natalie's story too. I think it's Natalie's story and Jason's story. But someone needs to tell it, please. Thank you.
The sewing machine story is Mom's story to share. Mom has to share it. Even though it has to do with me and Jason, Mom is the one who has to share it.
Hi, Jason. I had requests from 3 of the kids wanted me to tell this story. When you and Natalie were little, you were downstairs playing. I was up laying in bed. I must have been pregnant and sick. And all of a sudden, you got so mad at Natalie and you yelled at her and said, "Natalie, what did you do with Mom's sewing machine? She's going to be so mad at you." And Natalie gets all shaky and says, "I didn't take it. I didn't take it. Mom took it to the hospital so the doctor could fix it." And you were both satisfied. Both of you were fine with that answer. So that was so cute.
Happy birthday, Jason.
Happy birthday.
And the first memory that popped in my head was when you came home from boot camp and you decided to be our drill sergeant. There was one time I remember being in the hall downstairs. I can't remember who else was with me. I'm pretty sure Landon was, and maybe Colby and Brendan. But we were down there and you were making us give you push-ups. You were being a little more strict on one of the boys, probably Landon. But I was too scared of you at the time to tell you, no, I'm not doing that. Another memory I have is when you were in that room under Mom and Dad's bathroom. I was upstairs getting ready one morning, and the idea popped in my head. I'm going to practice doing this thing. It's one of the things where you jump with your legs. Well, obviously. You jump, you spread your legs, and then you jump in and kick, and it's something you do with a friend. But I was practicing doing my part. And next thing I know, you come upstairs furious. You start yelling at me, wondering why I would be jumping on the floor when your room is down there, and I made your light fall off the ceiling. I was so scared, and I felt bad because I didn't even realize to think about people being able to hear me below me. But I remember that. I've always remembered that now, and I'm much more considerate to people below me. This has already been mentioned as well about you're always going to family events and getting together with the family. And I think that's really cool coming from my perspective, where I never get to go to family events. And I'm jealous of all of you who have the opportunity. And I just think it's really cool that you go, Jason, and you go support everybody. One of my favorite recent memories was a few years ago when Mikkel and Clint invited us to their house for that little overnight camp out. The majority of us stayed up late that night, just listening to you tell stories from your whole life. It was so funny because you're such a good storyteller, and you just had us all laughing so much. I didn't want to go to bed because I wanted to stay up listening to you. But in your stories, your impersonation of Eliana is how she's always so mean and she has such a mean voice, and then you do you and you have such a nice, kind, caring voice. And someone even pointed that out. And you immediately said, see, even they hear it. I told you mine is so nice, but it was just so funny. That's always a good memory to think about. I have really enjoyed getting to know you more these last couple years. Growing up, I never really got to know you because you're a lot older than me, so we never hung out or really talked. And these last couple years, we've talked a lot more and hung out a lot more because you'll come and visit me, so thank you. And it's just been good getting to know you more. And you're always just making me laugh. I am always going to Matt and reading him your comments in the family group chat or the Wordle group chat. And I'm always just laughing. Thank you for always being so funny. Happy birthday. I love you. Okay, another memory I have. It's not really my memory, but I was there. But maybe Mom will tell it and tell it better. But you and Mom were arguing one time, and you were standing at the top of the stairs, and Mom started running towards you, so you took a step to the side so that she wouldn't run into you, and she didn't stop, so she flew down the stairs. It was so sad at the time, but now it's so funny to think about. So yes, Mom, tell that story. You'll tell it better. Or even Jason. You can tell everybody that story.
Jason Wilcox, this is Matt Brady. So I hear we are celebrating a birthday for you today, a big 40th birthday. Your mom reached out, asked that we could give you a quick birthday message. It's actually my birthday today on March 5th. I remember that you and I kind of share a birthday. I remember being your young men's leader. I remember you digging out from underneath my deck when I hired you to haul out dirt underneath my deck there in Kaysville. Remember what a hard worker you were. And I remember you telling me then that you were going to fly an Apache helicopter. And I thought, no way this kid is going to fly Apache helicopters. That's something that I always wanted to do. And you went on and you did it, man. I was actually visiting with a bunch of my young men in my ward here a year or so ago. They were 15 and 16 and 17-year-old guys. And I told them the story of Jason Wilcox, who put his mind to doing something and setting a goal to fly Apache helicopters and airplanes. And he did it. And I told those boys to use Jason Wilcox as an example to them, that if you want to do something and you set a goal and you work hard, you can make it happen. And I think I've messaged you about that before, but wanted to congratulate you for all that you've accomplished and wish you a happy 40th birthday. I can't believe you're 40 years old, man. That makes me real old. Okay? So thanks for making me feel old. Hope you have a wonderful birthday. You're awesome. Take care. Bye.
Nick, Nickelodeon. Over and 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 over again. Whoa, we're halfway there. Oh, living on a prayer. Take my hand, we'll make it, I swear. Whoa, living on a prayer. That's one of Jason's songs. That reminds me of him.
When I was a teenager, around, 14 to 16, I was incredibly scared of the Scream guy. The Scream mask. I don't know, he just scared me so bad. And that was the time of the life when Brandon and Zach would come over and hang out a lot. And anyway, one time Jason and Brandon and Zach thought it would be so funny to scare me to death and dress up as the Scream guy and come into my room and scare me. They wanted me to die. They were so scary. And I did. I almost died. I love the way Jason dances. It's so fun and cute, and I love it. Look at this cute little tiny black puppy that I had. And Jason was not very thrilled, but he was letting Eliana and the kids get this puppy. And he didn't want her to touch him. And he just didn't really want anything to do with her and was quite negative about her while they were here. But a year has passed and he loves that little doggy and he holds her, and I love that he loves her now. I think it is so cute. I love the nicknames that Jason has for my kids. What do you call Brevin, Jason? Is it what the other boys call him? Anyway, and then Emmeline, I think you just call her M. Oh, you call her M. And Jericho, Yeriho, and Amon, and Rhineland, and Bella Claire, and Luna. Bato Loco. I don't know why I had that on the last recording, but somehow it stopped recording. That's what he calls Brevin. Duh. Bato Loco. Jason and I used to have arm wrestles. Let's see, how old were we? 10, 12, 14, 16, maybe those years. And I used to beat him, like every time. I would beat my older brother in arm wrestles. I wonder if I'd still beat him. Oh, it's also funny how scared of spiders Jason is. So funny.
Hello, Wilcox family. I know the first thing you're saying as you see this is, man, he's getting old. Well, it's true. I'm a living example that Father Time is undefeated. And if I were looking at all of you, I'd probably say the same thing. So it's good to see everybody, or talk to you, I guess. And this is in Jason's 40th birthday. That makes me feel really old. But here's a quick one I had. This is my favorite Jason story, and there's a few of them, but this one stands out. So Jason, you probably remember we went on a camp out. We went up to the yurts, cross-country skied into those yurts. If you don't know what a yurt is, it's just kind of a half cross between a tent and a cabin. And it's up there in the Uintas, and we kind of snowmobiled and cross-country skied in. I think probably, Jason, you were in 14, 15, somewhere in that age. And everybody's camped inside this little yurt, and there's a whole bunch of boys and a few leaders. And boys were playing games, I don't know, probably cards or poker, or who knows what they were playing. And Jason had one of the seats at the table, and there were limited seats, and everybody else had to just kind of sitting around. So he had one of the favorable seats at the table. And then, I can't remember why, he got up, he went outside, probably go to the bathroom or get some more wood, not sure. But while he did so, Jason's arch nemesis slipped into that coveted seat. We'll just say D, we'll call him, just say hypothetical name, Danny maybe, sat down in the chair, and he'd been picking at Jason the whole time. And Jason had just been kind of taking it. And he came in, Jason came back into the yurt, came from outside, it's cold and snowy, and Danny was sitting in his chair. And Jason said, hey, that's my chair, I want that. And Danny went off with his, some kind of flippant attitude, and, yeah, take it, buddy. And this was just so classic, because everybody has been waiting for somebody to put Danny in his place at some point in time. And Jason wound up and hit him in the side of the head, knocked him out of that chair on the floor. Nothing was said. He was just so cool about it. And then he just sat down and took his chair. And Danny got up and, said a few words about he didn't see it coming. And I just thought that was classic Jason. Not going to say a lot, but you tick me off and I'm going to take care of you. But anyway, that was just one memory that came to me. I don't know if that's the most positive one, but it was one that stands out and kind of makes me chuckle every time, because none of us as leaders did anything to try to get in the way. Said, whoa, well, I guess that's just the law of the jungle and we'll just let that one roll. But anyways, happy birthday, Jason. It's good to talk to all of you. We ought to get together sometime, but as you know, those things never happen. Okay, love you, Wilcoxes. See ya.
So I remember when I was really young, he always put names if anything I did really funny or weird. He always put names, it used to be just Alice, or Shodona, or something like that. And, then every time we went to stores, I was in that little baby cart thing sitting down, and we used to sing a song to it. It's Alice Bundesliga Penafina Vomitos Shodona Pedona Kamanchan Alice GT Shubia Hirira Kadifwea. And he kept on adding more words, so I still remember all of the words. It was Alice Bundesliga Penafina Vomitos Shodona Pedona Kamanchan Alice GT Shubia Hirira Kadifwea Ipokondra Kamandi Busha Pesky Fly Glitter Mustache Bigoji Biosa Menchirosa. So that's something funny that I've always liked. He still calls us names, but he calls me Bum, Bunda, Hippity Skippity, Skipper, Glitter Mustache, still. And that's what I love about him. And I love a lot more about him too. But I just like them because they're funny. And so I almost forgot. My dad, he loves to make impressions of other people's voices. Like my mom, my brother, and me, but he cannot do mine, he says, because mine is so high. And he sings a lot, and I think it's really funny.
Memory with Jason is when he came to Nashville and he went to Nudies, and I had to go meet him at Nudies, and then Eliana called him and got mad at him because he was at Nudies, and she thought it was a nudie bar, and it wasn't. It was just a regular bar, and he thought that I told on him. And then he realized that Eliana must have been tracking his location on his phone, because I am not a snitch.
Another good memory I have is just a few years ago, me, Jason, and Landon played a Spot It version. It was a way where you put your card on their pile if you find the match. And we quickly learned why that's not one of the versions the rules offer, because it was almost impossible, but it was so funny just playing with those two and the laughter it brought. Even Grandma upstairs was wondering what was going on downstairs. But that was really fun.
Jason, you always made everything seem so dramatic and so scary. So I remember the time when Mom was gone and all of us little kids were home, except Jeremy, and it was just you being the oldest and the rest of us. And you were like, oh, someone's in the house. We have to go hide. Come on, let's go hide. And so we go and we hide, scared to death, under the stairs in that downstairs bedroom. And we were so scared because of you. And then either you called the cops or made one of us call the cops so that they could come check out our house and make sure there was no robbers there. But you just always made everything so scary, and it makes sense why you're such a good storyteller now. I mean, you know how to add the drama into the life. So anyway, it's pretty fun.
Okay, yes, that's it.
Loves to pop people's fingers. I remember that he used to do it with Sierra all the time when you guys used to live in Caseville. And I remember that he wanted to do it on mine, and I said, okay, do it. And he kept doing it on my fingers, and I didn't feel any pain. I actually liked it, because I used to do it in Brazil, so I didn't care. I don't feel anything. So he was like, how can you not feel any pain? And then he didn't get what he wanted from me, but he got what he wanted from Sierra. So I even have pictures of him going after Sierra to pop her fingers. Yeah, that's what he wanted. And then she always like ran around the house because he was trying to catch her. But you don't want to pop his fingers, because that would be the most traumatic thing ever that you see in your life, because that would be a serious stuff. He hates it. So sometimes when he's being a pain, I go and I do it just to make him stop in order to get something that I want.